Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for coming on this journey with us. So today's episode is quite possibly going to be the funnest one we've done so far.
I think so.
We are doing a what if on different deck builds, just random deck mashups.
Yes, we are.
Quick preview, like if you had to build a deck from cards from one movie, or heroes versus villains.
Wonder what I'm going to pick.
I wonder what I'm going to pick on that side. So that's going to be the main topic, but also on this one, as a little bit of a quick aside, we came up with a cool structure for the episode. We've kind of been toying with it for a little bit and trying to make like a very consistent structure with a few opening topics to just kind of make it fresh and fun and unique every time we talk. So it's not just like right into the heavy stuff every time.
And this is a test too, so we're working out the kinks. So if this doesn't work immediately, we'll shift on to other stuff.
And please let us know, because getting into that first kind of subject is we want to do questions from listeners or comments that we get from listeners. And so on that subject, I've usually said this at the end of the episodes, but I want to do it to kick it off this time so everybody can hear it. We have a bunch of different channels you can reach us at. And so we have a YouTube channel at Illumineers Quest. We have a Twitter or X account at Lorcana Pod. We have a Gmail account where you can email us in at lorcanapod@gmail.com as well. And then obviously all of the different channels to listen to the podcast, like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, Overcast, or any of the above. So if you have questions or comments, or you want to submit something to be featured in a future episode, please reach out and let us know, and we'll sift through those and try to find some good and engaging ones that we can have people on the episode.
We enjoy those a lot. We've been getting quite a few emails, so we enjoy it quite a bit.
Shockingly, for as short a time as we've been doing this, I think we've got 5 or 6 notes from people, which is just fantastic to see. And so, the first one we want to recognize is from Spencer, and his question is, have you ever considered having guests on the show?
Okay. Wow. You have not told me this question yet.
This
is my first reaction. This is my first reaction. I have not considered. I mean, maybe like a fantasy world I have, but...
And he obviously kind of went straight for the cream of the crop, like saying we should have, an artist from the set on, or somebody from Ravensburger. I mean, of course, if any of you are listening, please email us. We will have you on in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat, I would.
But also, I think, maybe some either players we meet locally or somebody from the community that we, connect with, like, sure, I think eventually we'd like to grow to have some of those, high level, high awesome guests. But
some great fellow content creators in the community that would be great to collab with. I think.
Absolutely. And, but in the meantime, obviously, any like that, like content creators or any other good collaborations would make total sense too. So, hope that answers the question. I think that's a pretty straightforward one. Obviously, we would love to, even get to interview any of those people. It would be awesome to try to pick their brain and maybe even throw in a couple, leading questions on what's coming and try to get them to slip up a little bit. But,
maybe that'd be fun.
But anyways, so that kind of covers the question of the day. The second one that we are adding to the episode list would be the card of the week.
Okay.
And so we've debated. I'm going to go first for this episode. And so the card I chose for this one is one of my favorite cards, but there's a reason behind that I wanted to choose it for this episode, and it's the legendary Elsa. So Elsa, Spirit of Winter.
Okay.
The reason I chose this one is because, one, I at first, when we first started playing, thought it was incredibly overhyped. I didn't understand it, but as our knowledge of the game has grown, I think you and I both kind of understand the hype now and understand really how to play it. So I had a Pixelborn game a while back that I was playing, and I was able to use Elsa to stall out my opponent at 19 lore and win the game.
I watched that game. So, it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It was really fun. It's very cool to win a game in a manner like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and then obviously Elsa is one of the more popular Disney characters, so it's kind of cool to talk about that one. But just in general, I think the ability that she has, Deep Freeze, which is when you play this character, you can exert up to 2 chosen characters, and then they can't ready at the start of next turn. And so if you have an opponent that is very close to winning like that and has a couple characters on the board, she gives you life, and to be able to keep going, to either challenge them and banish them, or use an ability to clear the board, or to just stall them out and you quest and finish the game off. It's just a really cool ability, and being an 8-cost card at the beginning, we definitely undervalued those late game roles like that.
For sure.
Few combinations of reasons, a little misunderstood by us in the beginning.
Yes.
Have a cool win with it recently. Unfortunately, don't have enough of them to build in a real deck yet, but that's definitely
I've got 3 now, so I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
You told me you pulled another one. That's right. So you were lucky to find a couple packs on wide release day and got another one.
My brother gave me one as a birthday gift.
Oh.
So I'm one more and I'll be good to go.
Man, playset of Elsa would be fantastic.
Yes, it would be.
Okay, that's a pretty simple one too. So card of the week, Elsa, Spirit of Winter.
There you go. All right, is it my turn now?
We get to move on. No, so one card we switch off.
Okay, so I'm learning too.
Yeah, so we just talked about that. You get yours next week. Nice try.
Stay tuned.
You can kick off the next section, which is the news / like what's on our mind, from the past week of playing. Do we have any cool games? Do you want to talk about the league matches we played? Unfortunately, neither of us were able to play league last week because we both had other obligations and we weren't able to get there. But yeah, just like kind of what happened the past week in our interaction with the game, and is there anything fun or cool, and just talk about that. So you can kick us off on this one.
Okay, so do you want me to talk about the little bit we got this week? Yeah. All right, so if you're in deep in the Lorcana community, you've probably already heard about this, but there was a few little confirmations that we've gotten about Chapter 2 already.
A leak and a confirmation.
A leak and then a confirmation on top of it.
Yes, which is
official confirmation.
Which I think is probably how you should handle it most times.
I think they handled it really well.
Yeah, I like how they did it like that. So anyways, take it away.
So we've gotten a few bits of news. So basically, I forget what website it was, but they listed some stuff for like pre-order, I think, early.
Yep.
On their website.
I think it was a German place. So
it was like a German website. Yep. Which is where Ravensburger is, I believe. Yeah. So we got confirmation of Sisu, which is a character from Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yep.
Raya? I forget how to say it.
Raya
and the Last Dragon.
That's how I say it, at least. If we're wrong, send us a note and comment and let us know.
So Sisu, I believe, is going to be a deck box and sleeves, I think.
Sounds right.
And then Mulan, a new Mulan is going to be a deck box and sleeve. And then Winnie the Pooh, the actual Winnie the Pooh himself.
Yep.
Is going to be a character as well. So not just Tigger anymore. The actual Winnie the Pooh.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Sisu and Raya were both confirmed to be cards too.
Okay, Raya was in there too. I mean, I would assume.
But I thought so.
Okay.
So that's that's obviously exciting. We have some confirmation that some new characters that are coming into the game.
So, and this is a little bit of information too. It is true that Raya and the Last Dragon characters are coming. That's going to be the newest Disney movie represented in Lorcana, which is exciting.
And I'm a huge Raya fan. So we've kind of started to think it through our Chapter 2 preview a little bit once it gets closer, and she was top of my list. So it's
great. I'm very excited that she's coming. The former newest movie was Moana, which I'm glad that she was included. But no, getting some new movies, so that opens it up even more for how many other characters can come in too. So
yeah,
very exciting news.
Yeah, so we're just into Chapter 1 release, and we're already getting Chapter 2 news.
I love it. I'm loving it. Hopefully by the end of the month we'll get some more confirmation on some other stuff. But
we definitely have different points of view when it comes to spoilers. Just in general, though, don't we? We are very different in that regard.
So I know what you're gonna say is that I love every spoiler possible. Is that what you're gonna say?
Just spoilers in general. Maybe not everything, but you definitely welcome spoilers way more than I do.
In the past year, I have changed my mindset on that completely.
Okay, so maybe we're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Okay, so we don't like spoilers anymore. So are you going to then, last question on this then, are you going to try to avoid the card spoilers, or are you going to embrace them and use that as learning before the new chapter comes out?
I am going to avoid any like lore or story spoilers, because like I've heard some rumors about like them presenting the story and stuff like that in special ways coming up. So I don't want to. I want to learn that as they reveal it themselves, Ravensburger. But like the cards and characters coming, I will hunt those down, I think.
Okay. I think I will be okay with them because it'll be hard to avoid. If I could choose, I would prefer to see the whole set released at the same time.
You want the whole set at the same...
I would, or whatever they release. Maybe they don't tell you the full set ahead of time. Maybe they give you, the 10 big cards from the set or whatever.
We got sprinklings basically for chapter 1.
I think if that's, and again, in an ideal situation, I don't think it'll happen like that. I think we probably have to deal with the sprinklings. So it's fine. I'm just telling you how I would like it if that's possible. But I digress. So, okay. My news / thoughts of the week, unfortunately, are not quite as happy. I know everybody's been impacted by it, and so I just wanted to kind of address the whole scalper / reseller situation. We have one running rampant in our community, and it's unfortunate that people can be as heartless as to take the joy out of these scenarios from people. And so all I would say is just don't buy from scalpers. I mean, I know it's hard. There's like we just talked about Elsa. Like I don't have a playset yet. I really want one. I only need 2, and so it wouldn't cost me $1,000 to complete a deck with her. But I don't want that to become the norm where everybody has to buy from scalpers. And so if we can just band together, not buy from scalpers, I think it'll make everybody's day a little better.
And this is some news that goes into that a little bit, but they've already announced a reprint.
Which hopefully helps, but it doesn't seem to have slowed things down just yet.
No. And it is very unfortunate. I come from the sports card community, and for a while this was a big norm that we just had to kind of get over. Now, even in sports cards, the price hike up was not as much as it is in Lorcana.
I think that's a little different though too, because I don't have a problem with people selling singles as near as much as I do like selling sealed product. Like if you want to open it and you want to take the risk yourself of finding a legendary or finding an enchanted, I guess that's one thing. Like that, I mean, I still don't like it because I would like the product to go into people's hands that are going to play the game. But if your job is to go to Target, buy the entire set with zero intent of actually ever playing the game, and is to just turn a profit on sealed product, I really have a problem with that.
And it really is unfortunate. I, since release, have been able to only get 7 packs, single packs.
Wide release from and those were each, I got 2 from a Walmart out of a booster box display. That's all that was left, and then 7 cardboard packs, single packs that were just not a lot to go around because they keep swooping them up, and unfortunately we have other things going on in our lives and aren't able to just drive around to every store every day to try to find stuff. So it is unfortunate. Don't want to dwell on it too much. Just again, as a community, if we can all band together and do a good job not addressing the scalpers, then I think in the long run it'll all make us better off. I know it's hard to do. I know the people listening to this probably are in the same boat we are, and so it's probably not the right people to be saying that to, but nonetheless, that's what's been on my mind this week. So,
Yep.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let's get into the positive now.
This is the fun part. Okay, what if? So, some of these aren't really like a versus, like this deck versus this deck. Some of them are, but this will just be cool to go through and do. So, first one, right off the bat, we'll jump into it. If you had to build a deck from one movie, which movie would you choose?
I'm going to go... Are we going to have the same one?
I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't have a full thought-out answer yet, to be honest.
Okay. Game
time decision.
I'm going to go with Frozen.
Okay.
I think that there's a few ones that compete with it, but from what I've seen, the amount of just good cards overall it has, that movie
quite a few actions.
Obviously,
the big Elsa.
High lore cards in Hans and stuff like that.
Anna.
Kristoff.
I mean,
Hans.
They're all
Duke
there.
of Weselton is a sleeper one. Marshmallow.
There's a ton of characters.
There's a ton. There's a lot, and I think that's why I picked it, is because there's so much of it.
Let It Go, Freeze. I mean, a couple of actions. So
that will and I mean, obviously the big one of that deck is the legendary Elsa. That's definitely the head of it. And there's an Elsa synergy too that you can build off with the movie deck basically. So I think that is definitely the one I would go with.
Okay, that was not one of the ones I was debating between. So this will be fun then.
Okay,
because we can compete here a little bit. So the two that I was debating between, and I have a decision, but I'm just gonna say them both, was Rapunzel and Aladdin.
Okay.
So you probably know which way I'm going.
I know exactly where you're going.
I am going to go Aladdin. A bunch of genies.
A bunch of genies.
A bunch of Aladdins.
A few Jasmines.
A few Jasmines. A few action cards. I don't think any real action really sticks out to me. So I build a super card.
Whole New World.
Okay, I see. I mean, I love A Whole New World. That is one of my favorites. But honestly, I was thinking of like the Ruby ones with like he's got a sword and the scimitar and things like that. So those are just like okay ones.
You've got Jafar as well.
Jafar. I didn't even think about Jafar. See, because I'm on the hero side. You're on the villain side. So okay. So we'll just
spoilers for the next one.
We'll leave it right there. Which one do you think wins?
Well, I in my opinion, I did think through all of them, and I picked the one I thought would win.
Okay.
So, I think Frozen wins.
Which is why, I mean, obviously, again, like you said, that's why you picked that side. I think Aladdin wins because, one, I have a good early game. You know, if I can get Aladdin out quick, he makes you lose a couple lore. The Aladdin Street Rat. If I have all of the Aladdins, you know, there's an Aladdin.
That's true.
There's Aladdin from Emerald. There's Aladdin from Steel. There's an Aladdin from Ruby. Mm-hmm. You cannot take out all of those Aladdins and keep me from shifting Heroic Outlaw.
That's very true.
Really early on.
That's very true.
So before, I mean, you can shift your Elsa onto one of the baby Elsas.
That would be it. You could shift your Aladdin at 5,
and you can do it at 6.
At 6.
So I do have that like quick little one up. And the problem I think that you would have with Aladdin is if I do get a Heroic Outlaw, there's no abilities that we have that are going to like get rid of those things fast.
So I mean, there's no Dragonfire. I have Smash. I have Smash though.
But he does more. But that would take you to. You'd have to smash him twice to kill him once, or you'd have to attack him. Your character that you're attacking with probably dies, and then you smash him. So you're using just a ton of abilities there.
I also have like the tiny Elsa that would also exert cards. I feel like there's a few ways to get around it.
Okay, the one I'll give you the one I wasn't going to say this, but in all fairness, the blue Sapphire Let It Go song, which is put chosen character into the player's inkwell face down and exerted. That's like kind of a Dragonfire.
What's the cost of that?
It costs 5.
Okay.
So it's basically a Dragonfire with the caveat that it goes into my inkwell. And so the one thing I could say then is if you do let it go on an Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, then I've got 7 ink in my inkwell. I had 5. I shifted him. Now I've got 7 because he's shifted and both of them go in the inkwell. And so then I'll have a pretty big ink lead.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it would be close. It would be fun to like actually do at some point.
I think 4 of every card. Yeah, but
I think that would be fun to actually do at some point.
We'll report back on that. I think
we will for sure. Okay. Anything else you'd like to? I don't have a winner in that one. I think, like you said, we need to play it out.
I think it could be a draw. I think there's a few other like fun movies that you could bring in too.
Rapunzel.
Lion King would be a fun one.
Yeah.
I think a sleeper one would be Peter Pan. Because you got Hook, Tinkerbell, Smee, Peter Pan, obviously. There's a card that's like one of Captain Hook's like crew. So there's a lot of cards to work with there. I think that would be really fun. Obviously, you have like Giant Tink and stuff like that.
I mean, we're just such big Disney fans that I think we could come up with fun scenarios for most movies where there's enough characters.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that at some point that's just a good way to kind of have fun with your community or your buddies that you're playing with and keep it fresh and just see what happens.
I could see that becoming a series on this podcast at some point in time.
Yeah, just have a cat play out a couple random games like that and see what works.
It'd be fun. It'd be a good time.
Okay. Heroes versus villains. We might not get past this because we're both going to be super, super into this one. So Jake's obviously taking the villain side. I have no problem with that. I'll take heroes. So you started last time. I'll start real quick. Aladdin, Elsa. Do I need to say more? The 2 cards we were just talking about, I get both of those. I also get Mickey, Brave Little Tailor. Sorry, I digress.
Dragonfire, Mother Gothel, Maleficent. I mean, do I need to say more than that?
I guess Be Prepared is probably a villain card too.
Yep, Be Prepared.
I mean, it's Scar, right? It's like
I've got some Hans for lore. I've got. I mean, I don't know, dude. Captain Hook. I've got some Captain Hook in there.
I think I make, honestly, I think the best way to address it would be one of my favorite current decks, the Lilo Simba aggro.
That's
and
true.
Just have to get out I mean, I know that's like on the opposite side, but just get out real fast and go real quick. You've also got Flynn Rider in that aggro deck. You've got a couple other Emerald cards that I play. You got Stitch in the game, with Stitch Rockstar to draw cards, to help you out there from that aspect. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know because there's so many variables that you can't account for building like a really cohesive deck. But
now I will say this: I do think Hero is better right now.
Okay.
In terms of what the cards are, I'm always going to be a villain guy no matter what. But I do think as of right now, Heroes is better. Hopefully they build that upon that, and because there is some like villain synergies that use the villain archetype, that are on the cards themselves.
Yes.
So hopefully they build that out in future chapters.
There are a couple abilities that even say like banish chosen villain.
Yes, there is.
So that's an interesting one. The Sword of Truth on Ruby says banish chosen villain character. So that's a wild one.
So there's possibilities, I think, for a good villain deck.
Definitely. Not that I think it's pretty close. I don't think it's
one-sided. I think it's pretty one-sided.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, let's think through it then. If you're saying it's one-sided, is it one-sided because of the aggro deck I mentioned, or is it one-sided from some other reason?
I just think that, especially Hero. I think heroes have a lot more cards than villains. I think that's just.
But I mean, even the Faciliers alone, like this is crazy. We're arguing opposite sides now. Anyways, like the Faciliers, the friends on the other side. I mean, that's extremely powerful to have all them. So, the Jafars and Amethyst.
Do villains have a lot of lower cost though? That's the problem.
But if you have all the card draw in the world to keep you going and get you going, then I think you have Ursula at
Amethyst
3.
is pretty villain heavy.
You have Ursula at 3 lore. You have the cheap 1 cost Maleficent building her time or biding her time again at 2 lore.
This is why I like Amethyst.
Yeah, Flotsam Jetsam.
Yep.
So both at 2 lore. The big shifted Facilier Agent Provocateur. He's got 3 lore, so you can definitely build a lore deck to quest. It's not that you won't be able to quest. I think it's just, again, you have to build a very specific strategy, and I would probably build it around Facilier. That's just me.
I would build it around Gothel.
We've talked about that one too. I think Gothel is... I think there are so many cards in play that can just bypass, either... Like the Let It Go we just talked about. Just put a card in the inkwell. Just get rid of Gothel. She's gone.
So I don't believe there's any bodyguard in villains either, which is not good.
No, I mean that's you definitely need if you are building it around one specific character, then you definitely need a bodyguard. And so having something like that would work, and unfortunately the only bodyguards, as you mentioned, are in Amber and Steel,
and
so you would have to
they're all good guys, I would assume, right?
Guys, and so you don't have that option. But even with a bodyguard, I'm saying the Gothel deck that I was playing to experiment with had a bodyguard in it, but there are so many cards like Let It Go, like I said, or the Hades in Sapphire, that, banishes cards to your inkwell instantly as well, that just bypass the need to challenge. Dragonfire, Be Prepared. I mean, I've named 4 right there. And so it's just really easy to get around you being set on using one card as your win condition. You have to have, a couple that keep you in the game if they get rid of your main.
All those cards you said were villain cards, though. Just saying.
I know, that's my point.
Just saying.
We're arguing opposites here. I'm still a hero guy. I still think a super aggro deck with Lilo, Simba, Flynn Rider, a couple of the other Emerald ones would be really, powerful.
Cheshire Cat, Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got, and then, since we're breaking ink barriers here, you've got, again, Aladdin Street Rat to keep your lore low as I build up. So I think, obviously I'm choosing heroes, and I think I win. I just think it's a lot closer than you initially said.
I think heroes win pretty easily.
Let's go, heroes!
But we're the villains, like in every sequel, we come back. So don't worry about it.
So do you mean by that we're going to revisit this in Chapter 2?
Absolutely.
And see who would win when the Chapter 2 set releases?
Absolutely, we're going to revisit this because we're going to come back stronger than ever.
Okay. Any other comments then on heroes versus villains? We're giving the W to heroes.
We are.
Let's go. Okay.
I'm
good
down.
Deal.
I'm down for W. For heroes.
So we'll move on to the next one. We have animals/creatures versus people. So your Abus, I don't know why my head goes to Abu.
Abu,
your Abus, you've got your Sebastians. I think I would throw in like Mickey and Goofy and Donald into that as well because they're technically animals.
They're technically animals.
I mean, they're little people-esque, but you can throw that in there. Versus people. So which side do you want on this one?
I'm gonna pick animals versus creatures, which is probably where you were going.
Of course, because I think animals versus creatures dominates.
But your 2 favorite cards, Heroic Outlaw and Elsa.
I know there's still people, but there's just so many. There's Simba and Robin Hood, and I mean,
Gantu.
Okay, you're out. I mean, like with all the bodyguards, like Donald Duck and the Musketeers and Goofy, and I mean, I just, I think we could go back to some of the stuff we talked about previously. You have Facilier, you have Aladdin.
Be Prepared.
You have, Be Prepared, but Be Prepared is an animal, so that would be on your side. Because you have Scar.
Yeah.
So I just, I just don't think there's enough synergies between the people. I think you have enough cards where you can really build out on the animal/creature side. I'm just kind of scrolling through the list here on the side of all the cards, and I would say 3 out of 4 are a creature/animal. If I'm just looking at Amber right here, Timon, Stitch.
There's also others that don't fit into the people versus creature animal category. There's some items, there's some objects, there's things like that too.
We can kind of share those. So all I'm trying to say is I think the number of just strictly raw card count.
Absolutely.
Animal creatures versus people. I think creatures and animals wins handedly, and so I think you just have the flexibility.
No, I have a lot more choices.
A better deck.
A lot more choices. And that's why.
What would your top strategy be then? Do you have? I mean, I know we're kind of just flying by.
So probably be Ruby. I've got Maleficent. I've got Brave Little Tailor. That I can work with there.
You've got all your evasives.
All my favorite evasives. And then maybe Amethyst isn't the best bet. I'd probably bear.
They're mainly people.
People.
You do obviously have Rafiki, Pascal, Flotsam, Jetsam. So I think you could probably get close to what you're used to, but I think the majority of Amethyst comes from Facilier, Elsa, Jafar, Maleficent. So I think you're right. I think Amethyst is stronger people-wise.
I think I'd do maybe a Ruby Emerald, probably. So I could get a Cheshire Cat in there.
I like that. You've also got Beast and Genie.
Yep.
I think those would be pretty big ones. You could do. I think depending on again how we define the breakup of the items that might not be directly related to a person or a villain or a person or a creature. You can have a couple of those too. So. I mean, I think that's pretty right up your wheelhouse, so that makes sense.
I think that's what I'd go for.
So if I had to choose, I don't know. I think I definitely go Amethyst. I think you have to for the card draw. You've got enough people. Like I said, Maleficent can get you out fast. The other Maleficent can, draw cards for you. You have the 3 Faciliers to draw cards / sing / use friends on the other side. I think that I would build the main part of my deck around that and use the rest of the cards to support that. Maybe a Sapphire. I don't know. Do some inking with that and the card draw synergies you've got there. I don't know. I think it probably builds
maybe a Sapphire Amethyst.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Just again, this is kind of off the top. Maybe Steel. Steel's got a bunch of like items that aren't creatures. You can do
grab your swords. Yeah, fire the cannons. Yep.
Maybe I'm changing up already. I'm going Amethyst Steel. I'm using Steel to deal a bunch of damage early. I'm using Amethyst to draw a bunch of cards to get all the Faciliers out, and then once I have all my Faciliers out, I just use those to keep myself in the game. Because the big Facilier, the shifted version of him, the Agent Provocateur that we talked about, and which is his ability is whenever one of your other characters is banished in a challenge, you may return him to your hand. So I think what I'd do is just try to get him out as fast as I possibly can, and then use the rest of my cards to challenge. Just keep challenging and use that churn to keep you off the board, and because I get to return those cards to my hand, so I keep a full hand at that point.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I think where my head's at, but I'm not sold that I would win yet.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to make up a bunch of follow-up episodes on this.
Oh, we're gonna have to, like you said, we're gonna have to play some of these sometimes.
We're gonna have to accumulate a bit more cards, I think, to do this. But
or here's a better idea for you. Let's just do a YouTube video.
Okay.
Of like we can just like show the table and like play through the games, and they can watch along with us and see how it goes.
We do have some extra content on our YouTube channel, so it's worth checking out. I think
we've got some unboxings and stuff.
And also visual versions of some of our tier lists that you can go and check out. So, no, I like it. We'll use that as a format for that.
That could be fun. Okay, so I'm going to give you this one. I think Animals Creatures wins. I think it's a lot closer than I initially thought, though. I think it is. I think the Facilier strategy keeps me in it. I think it takes me too long to get there, though, to be able to do it.
That's why I'd probably work in Sapphire then.
Yeah.
I'd probably do a Sapphire Amethyst.
That's fair.
But I mean, you've got your Elsas and your Faciliers. I mean, I think you've got a lot to work with. I think as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's possible, and maybe one day we'll get to do it.
We'll try it out at some point.
Okay, I think this might be my favorite one.
Okay.
Your eyes lit up when I told you before we started. Bear with us. A full deck of just one card.
Okay.
What one card do you choose, and why do you think that one wins?
Do you have one? Because I don't have one yet.
I think I have an idea, and I'll kind of talk through the premise and like my thoughts on this as you think through it. The problem is it has to be a low cost card, because if I choose like Lilo, for instance, who quests for 2, and you choose, I don't know, a 6 or 8 cost something.
I hope you wouldn't pick Lilo because she's uninkable.
That's a good point. Okay, let's take a 1 cost card, 2 cost card. So we'll say Flynn Rider then. We'll say Flynn Rider, 2 cost card. He has a little bit of an ability with him too. I was just using that as an example. Was not going to pick Lilo. I feel really dumb now.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's hilarious. I'm glad you said that, because that's a really funny mistake on my part. The point I'm trying to make is if I pick a really low cost card that quests for 2. Like I said, like maybe a Flynn Rider who also makes you discard a card, so your hand could get a little bit lower if you decide to start challenging him. If you take a 6 or 8 cost card, whether it be Elsa or Aladdin, Heroic Outlaw, or something really big to like hammer it home, I think I've probably got 5 or 6 cards on the board, and I'm questing for like 10 by the time you even can play a card. And so even if you do have Heroic Outlaw, you can only play him once. Kill 1, I lose 2 lore, and I still win on the next turn.
With a Heroic Outlaw, you're not able to shift either.
No, because that's all it is. And so all of that premise to say, I think it probably has to be under 3 cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying like if it's over 3 it can't win. I think that's just like the area of if you're not questing or playing within that first 2 or 3 turns, I think it would be extremely hard to win.
So do you have your pick? Because I have mine. It's funny you mentioned it.
Okay, go. What's your pick?
It's funny you mentioned Flynn Rider because that was my pick from the get-go.
Okay. Okay.
I think that I might have picked it even if it didn't have an ability, and on top of it being a 2-cost 2 lore, it has an ability. So a really helpful one at that too. So I just think that if that's all you have in your deck, that I think that just wins, to be honest. Especially if you're able to, when they're attacking the only card in your deck, you gain stuff from that. You gain your opponent has to discard a card, correct?
Yep.
I think that's just really helpful.
So I'm still torn. My initial reaction is Simba, the Amber version where he's a cub, with the 2 strength, 3 willpower, the protective cub.
Okay.
And I say that because he's got 3 willpower, which is above the norm for a 2 or 3 cost card, or a 1 or 2 cost card. And so, like, if we're going up against Flynn Rider, if it's Simba versus Flynn, Simba can challenge Flynn and live every time. So you play a Flynn, I play a Simba, you challenge, or we challenge, I live, you don't. The problem is I would have to discard every time, and after 2 or 3 times, I'm kind of in trouble, right?
Yep.
So I think my actual answer, and it's not really fair because you gave me yours first, and so
that's fine.
So
that's
I'm
fine.
tailoring it to what you said, is Maleficent Sorceress, who is the one that gives you the ability to draw a card. So you play her, you draw a card, so you get another one. And then you challenge, she lives because she's got 2 willpower, 2 strength. Flynn's only got 1 strength, 2 willpower.
Yep.
So again, even though I'm discarding one every time, I'm drawing one every time. So I think, but even if it's not Flynn, I know I only quest for 1, but me drawing a card every time allows me to ink and play every time.
Now, Flynn also costs 1 less ink, though.
Yes.
So that is another advantage.
You do get out a little... Yes, you do get out faster for sure.
I play 3 cards for 6 lore, you play 2.
Yes, but the difference is I could take out all 3 of those, or take out 2 of those, and then the next turn take out another one. And so I think I would be behind most of the game, but I think eventually I win based on you not being able to challenge evenly with me. This is a really easy one. We should definitely do this at some point in the near future to see how it plays out.
I'm going to have to get a lot more Flynns.
But I don't even think we need 60. I think all we need is like
40?
10.
Oh, okay.
Because instead of like discarding it and putting it in a discard pile, you just put it at the bottom of your deck.
Okay,
because you just keep cycling them because it's the same card, so you just keep cycling it. So and we might even have enough to do that. But I think that's a really interesting theory on like understanding the interactions of these cards in these types of scenarios too. And so it'd be cool to see how this works for like broader gameplay too.
No, I'm down for this. This would be a good time.
And that wraps it up. So that was a fun one. A whole new episode style. We kind of changed up the format a little bit. I think we want to see how this goes going forward and continue along with this. But this was definitely a fun one for sure.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. Well, as always, everyone, thank you for listening, and we appreciate the support. And please reach out with any questions. And if you have a 1-cost card you think that would make a great deck, or have any good suggestions for future What If episodes, please let us know.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm going to have to edit it now.
Yep.
But that's fine because it's the end.